If we remove systematic oppression from the equation and focus strictly on the habits, culture, and even the decision-making patterns, then the difference between the Black Americans, Asians, and any other immigrants group can be explained in terms of mindset, priorities, and even the intergenerational strategies. Now, when you go to the cultural and priorities, and even the long-term thinking, you'll find that many Asians community and even the other immigrants group placed an extremely high value on education, discipline, and even the delayed gratification. What do I mean by this? By saying is that parents will sacrifice comfort in the present for the sake of their children' future. Let's talk about immigrants. The immigrants that come to America are people who their parents have actually sold land, sold animals, and even sacrificed for their children so that they can survive in America. Now, when you look at it, you will find that it is often investing heavily in tutorial, business ownership, or even the skill acquisition. But when you look at Black Americans, in some cases, have more like live for today culture due to the historical instability. But without systematic operation in the conversation, this mindset can still create gaps in wealth building and even the career advancement. Now, look at the family structures and even the support networks. You'll also realize that a lot of immigrant families operate with the tight intergenerational household. Parents, grandparents, uncles, and even aunts pooling money and resources. So this also makes them to start businesses, buy homes early, and even fund education collectively. But in many Black Americans households, the family network isn't always as financial coordinated. So individuals are left to make it largely on their own, which slow progress. Now, go to the work ethic and even the sacrifice threshold. You'll find that immigrants often come to the US prepared to work extreme hours at jobs many Americans won't even do this, seeing it as a temporary grind toward a long-term goal. Now, Black Americans, being native born, sometimes view certain jobs as beneath them, like which can limit entry points into industries that later lead to businesses ownership or the managerial roles. Now, the guy talked about the spending and even the investing cultures. I was shocked that a lot of billionaires, a lot of musicians, too, the Black Americans make it in life. They tend to buy useless things. Now, this is what I want to talk about here. Like Asians and even the immigrants' household tend to save aggressively and reinvest earnings into assets, business, property, or even education. But when you look at the many Black Americans, however, they have the stronger consumer spending habits tied to personal expression and even the cultural identity. While this builds style and influence, it can also drain capital that could be used to generate wealth. What do I mean by this? Like, I was shocked that some of the millionaires in Black Americans are actually buying bulk. Their spending habit is actually very one of the worst. Like they're spending more while investing less. So that's why you'll find that majority of them are not capable or they're not rich in the chart. Now, when you look at the community operation, you also realize that in some Asian and immigrant communities, competition is external, like us versus the outside world. But in segment of Black Americans, competition can be internal with success sometimes met with jealousy rather than collective pride. Like this can discourage upward mobility for fear of being alienated or accused of acting differently. What do I mean by this is that the black market, like we recently have these the black fight and the African fight. Like the Black Americans were actually boycotting the African the businesses. But when you look at it at a lenient point, you also realize that Africans are not fighting these people. Like they're saying we are Africans. We want to build our own businesses. And actually, when you go to those countries, you'll realize that Africans are more successful than the Black Americans. Now, what do I mean by this is when you strip away systematic factors, success becomes about habits, priority, and even the community coordination. Like I said, Asian and immigrant groups often function like small economic armies, pooling resources, pushing education, and even delay gratification. Like Black Americans have enormous talent, creating, and even the cultural influence. But without matching that with discipline, collective, economic, and even the long-term vision, the financial gap will still remain the same. So that's what I want to prove it by saying that the Asian community and even the immigrants, I'm not saying that all of them, but I'm saying majority of them are more successful than the black Americans. Like the dude said, there are some of them who cannot even afford to travel to Africa. Let's be lenient. There are some of them cannot travel to Africa because traveling to Africa is actually expensive to them.